Good evening, everybody. This is Omar Serrato. I'm being joined by Leanne Newton. For the first time in months, I haven't heard from this young lady. And for the very first time, I'm being joined by the House of Chatter podcast, who has been a longtime commenter in my lively streams. And then she wanted to do a collaboration. I said, sure, let's do one. And so here she is making her I don't know, Tilted Lawyer debut, or at least with us two anyway. She's been commenting or making content on the lively streams, and she has lots of thoughts and opinions. Tonight, we are going to be talking about some of the other stuff that's come out with the MSJ. There's been some articles that have been written about what Lyman specifically had zeroed in on with the parties, what he wanted to know about. And a lot of it's related to the sexual harassment claims, as you could imagine. And I thought I would take a look at that and then zero in on some of Blake Lively's testimony to see why Judge Lyman might have been taking the tenor that he did, which is, from what I'm gathering, he's really zeroed in on severe and pervasive. That's a really big deal. He's really focused on the contemporaneous aspects of her alleged claims and why she didn't do specific things at the time she says she would have been harassed, and why he thinks that she might not even meet the subjective elements to sexual harassment claims for all of that, which would basically, if he's going to continue down that line of thinking, is going to basically dismiss counts 1 through 7, or at least causes of action 1 through 7. What do you think about that, Leanne?
Yeah, I think that's a really good approach. I spoke to Lauren after she went to the hearing, and I said, we were talking about, well, what was he like? Because I think we had some low expectations.
Yeah.
But Lauren was really quite positive about the questions he was asking. She said that he pushed back on Lively's side. So, yeah, it sounds like it went in the right direction.
What's your impressions about all of this, Emma, having been an observer? Now, look, when I did my recap, it was literally a recap of somebody else's recap because I wasn't there in the courtroom. And I'm just kind of going off of what everybody else was saying. But now we've got these reporters that have specific quotes directly from the judge. But what was your impression going into the MSJ and after the kind of the aftermath?
Well, just following some of the court documents and everything that's come out, I've noticed a lot of, well, not a lot of, but I've noticed a couple of discrepancies in Blake Lively's statements, even with specific incidents.
A couple? What do you mean a couple? Like there's a bunch.
I was being nice. But I think that cuts into her credibility quite a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And my feeling with Judge Lyman is vastly different from the majority, but I think he's just done with her crap. And I think he's annoyed with the other side that this has gone on for so long, when maybe they had an opportunity to dismiss earlier. And it's just a waste of taxpayer time, Lyman's time. He probably has other cases to try, like criminal cases of real SH and real SA.
No, he definitely does. But I'll tell you what, the way that by the way, what's up, Ricardo, with the $2 super chat. It's good to see you, buddy. And then, Chenin Canali. How do you even pronounce that? Chenin Canoli. Chenin Canoli with the 5 says, I know I'm not going to make this whole thing, but can't wait to listen in the morning. Thanks, Omar. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the 5 as well. Well, here's my impression. I think that it's a high-profile case. He knows it's a high-profile case. He is not blind to the commentary and the chatter that is out there. He knows what people are saying about him. He knows that this case is getting a lot of attention. And yeah, he has a lot of cases, but the way that it's been described that he was laser focused in on the case law with this tells me he's taking it seriously. He's always going to have other cases, but he's giving Blake Lively a fair look, like he's asking all of the questions that you would ask somebody. And if you go through some of the deposition testimony, which we are going to do, by the way, she gets really squirrely when you ask her specifics, time, date, place, what did you do, who was there, what did you say, did you make anybody aware that that comment made you uncomfortable, what specifically did he do? He made a motion, a gesturing to a chest. Whose chest, yours or his? And then, well, I don't know, it could have been anybody. He's like, well, you got to help me out, like I need specifics, like what did he do to make you uncomfortable? Did he gesture to your chest? And then that kind of stuff. And in my experience, people that have actually been victimized could answer those questions in one of two ways. Either they can't remember anything, but they remember how they felt very specifically, and they remember who they told, but they might not remember details, or they'll have like a photographic recollection of every single detail, the scents, the smells, what people said, exactly who was there, because it was a traumatic stamp inside of their brain. With Lively, you get the impression that she's trying to correct some of the deficiencies with her complaint, with her testimony, which granted she was supposed to do, but she didn't do it in a way that was genuine. She did it in a way that was coached. Let me get through these. There's a couple of articles. I wanted to read this one from Reuters and their comments on the MSJ, and then we'll get into some of the testimony. And Leanne, I really appreciate that you're an attorney, because I'm curious about how you would attack Lively on cross. Go ahead.
Sorry, go on.
No. Continue.
Well, I think because one of the things that really struck out to me was in her deposition. Justin Baldoni's deposition, actually, Gottlieb was asking questions. And for me, the birth scene has always been kind of presented as like the most significant event. And, mainly because she's saying, well, I was nude, I was vulnerable. Yeah. And I found Gottlieb only asked Baldoni 2 questions about the entire thing. Now, there was a bunch of things that were alleged, like the set was chaotic, it wasn't closed, right? It wasn't following industry standard protocols. There was surrogates turned up unannounced, etc. She was naked, except all of this stuff. No one was getting her a blanket. And out of all of the questions, there was only 2 questions about that entire scene put to Justin Baldoni, and that was, did you ask Miss Lively to do the scene naked? To which he said no.
No, I did not.
and then it was, did your wife rip her clothes off when she was giving birth? And I think I would have gone at it like, what about the set was, why did you not maintain an industry standard protocol on the set? Why was the set not closed? Did Sarowitz plan his visit? Did he let you know in advance? Did he know that scene was going to be filmed? Yeah. Why was she naked?
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, there was a very stylistic choice in the deposition cross-exam of Lively that I noticed. One is, when you get a squirrely answer from a witness, sometimes you zero in on the squirreliness and you go through every single atom of that answer and you dissect it and make them look as stupid as possible. But I feel like they were purposefully leaving the squirrely answers as meat on the bone for trial cross-exam, so as not to, which is stylistic choice for deposition, and it's strategic because there's a lot of things they could have asked her at deposition that they didn't. It's so tempting when you're a lawyer and you get one of these squirrely answers to not want to dive in and go for the kill right then and there. But they did a really good job of controlling themselves and moving on from question to question. I really want to get into the depo so people can see what we're talking about. But this is some articles that I found. This one's from Courthouse News. Is it up yet or no? Let me see. I got to add it. It is. Is it this one? Yes, it's this one. Okay. So this is from Courthouse News. It says actor-director Justin Baldoni urged a federal judge on Thursday to dismiss a civil case against him and his production brought by actress Blake Lively accusing Baldoni of sexually harassing her on the set of 2024 romantic drama It Ends With Us, and then engaging in a Hollywood smear campaign to hinder her, blah, blah, blah. Seeking a judge's dismissal of Lively's case, the summary judgment state Baldoni's lawyers rebutted Lively's claims as a litany of minor grievances that have not met the requisite level of being severe or pervasive enough to create an objectively hostile or abusive work environment. That was something that Not Actually Golden and the little girl attorney kept bringing up, that he kept on repeating himself, severe or pervasive, contemporaneous, and all this kind of stuff. And it seems like this article picked up on it as well. Jonathan Bach, a lawyer for Baldoni, told U.S. District Judge Louis Lyman that such grievances and petty slights asserted by Lively are not actionable to advance further. This is a case about making a movie with highly charged romantic and sexual themes. Baldoni's defense argued in Manhattan federal court that Lively's case should be dismissed because she hadn't made a sufficient pleading that gender discrimination occurred in the context of making an adult film with sexual themes. And the gender discrimination thing, I mean, it seems like the crux of it is that she had ideas and was dismissed. And she felt it was because she was a woman. But she offered no examples of how, like, perhaps, I don't know, male co-stars' ideas were not summarily dismissed in the ways that hers were, that might have given rise to this allegation that gender discrimination was at play. She even threw in Sarowitz at one point in her testimony in a way that just didn't make any, she just threw his name in there. And I feel like that was one of those moments that the attorney's like, oh, okay, so what did he say? And we'll see that in a minute. Let me continue with this article. Against the backdrop of a film devoted to achieving a certain sexy aesthetic, a project Lively embraced and advanced, it is impossible to see occasional sporadic references to sexuality as specifically directed toward either gender, Baldoni wrote in his motion for summary judgment. Lyman did not immediately rule because he's going to take it under submissions, and then they go on with some of this other stuff. And there was this one interesting quote here. Lively's attorneys Ezra Hudson from Minot, Phelps, and Phillips and said Baldoni at one point caressed Lively with his mouth during the dance shoot in a manner that was removed their characters' respective roles. Consent can be a spectrum of things. It doesn't have to be at every single moment, Hudson said. How do you feel? Okay, first of all, let's break down that sentence, because she's arguing basically consent is not like a one-time thing. It's a second by second transaction. Consent can be a spectrum of things. It doesn't have to be at every single moment. Hudson said describing Baldoni's improvised touching without consent during the slow dance was both a surprise and violation to Lively that was recorded in behind the scenes video footage. He leans in, puts his face on her face, kisses her, nuzzles up against her, strokes her. You can see the look on her face in the video. She is clearly having her boundaries pushed. What would clearly having your boundaries pushed look like to you ladies?
I mean,
I would probably say something or push him away, like where it wasn't a
Like,
great.
hey, buddy, what was that about? Like something like audibly, like you'd make a thing of it, right?
Yeah, I would definitely say something or push him away, like arm's length distance. Like, yeah.
The problem with this argument is that this scene is like on film, like we've seen it. And nothing like that ever happens in the scene. Matter of fact, most people, when they look at that footage, have come to the conclusion that if anybody was sexually harassed, it was Baldoni. She's over here biting on his lips and stuff, or whatever she was doing. According to Lively, after she later objected to Baldoni's behavior during the dance scene shoot, his response was, "I'm not even attracted to you." That made me laugh. Lively also claims that Jamie Heath, Wayfair's CEO and one of the film's producers, peeked at her naked upper body after she permitted him to come into her trailer while she was having body makeup removed. Lively, then wearing only a thong in the trailer, says she instructed Heath not to look at her, but at some point during their brief conversation, he glanced at her through a mirror. Interesting, because in her deposition testimony, she says that actually he was full on looking at me, and then I told him, "Hey, you're supposed to be looking away." And he says, "Oh, I like to look people in the eyes when they talk." And then they asked well, was he looking at your body? He's like, I don't know all the contours of my body that he was looking at. But that's not what he said he was going to do. And so, but it was written in the complaint as if, yeah, I saw her in the mirror, or he's trying to cop a look or whatever. But in the deposition testimony, she tries to correct or basically amend the complaint, and gives context that was never there in the complaint, in a way that I thought was just like really, really, really coached. When she called him out, Mr. Heath brushed it off as a habit of wanting to look at a person while speaking to them. Lively wrote in her complaint, Miss Lively and her hair and makeup artist were all deeply disturbed by this interaction on just the second day of filming. Lively also accused Baldoni of personally inserting improvised gratuitous sexual content and scenes involving additional nudity, including a scene in which Lively was to climax on camera, and after Lively signed on to the movie based on a draft of a script. Now, in the deposition testimony, they did a couple of things. They established very early on, you realize there's going to be sex scenes in this movie, right? Yes, I did. And then they even asked her, well, did you read the book? And she said, no, I didn't. And then they were like, well, how in the hell did you know there were sex scenes in it? And they cut off that part of the deposition, and was the funny part of the depo. But then they were like,
do you know her manager said in his deposition, though, that she did read the book?
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
seems to be a contradiction then, isn't it?
There's a lot of
There are a lot.
contradictions in the depositions.
So this is a movie about domestic violence with sex scenes in it, and you signed up to be the lead actress. And what did you think was going to happen? And they established that very early on. And then they're going about discussing basically the choreography of how the sex scene is going to go. And they're discussing things. And she says, yeah, but I felt uncomfortable because of something. He's starting to bring his personal life into it in a way that made me feel uncomfortable. And then they're like, well, did you tell him that you were uncomfortable? And she's like, well, no. That's kind of the contemporaneous issue that Lyman was having. And then Lyman brought up the whole thing about, if we're going to make a movie, you cannot consent and choreograph every single small little insignificant movement and place on it these micro consent moments where somebody might violate sexual harassment laws if they don't adhere strictly to the script. Like, the very nature of creative expression is this idea that we're going to sometimes go off the cuff, and whatever comes on the page through creative expression is, creativity in progress. And when you sign up for a creative juncture or endeavor like this, then you're signing up necessarily consenting to the tenor of what you understand the story to be. And all they really had to do, it seems to me, is establish that this is a movie about that's going to have sex scenes in it, that is about domestic violence. And we're going to be touching on some of these issues. Are you okay playing lead actress? And they asked her multiple times, are you okay with this?
Yeah,
so in that light, what do you guys think about all that?
So I personally think it's not the same scenario. Like, in an office environment where there is no corporate, sort of intimacy of any kind between yourself and your boss or your co-workers, then you can see where, the issue of consent comes in. But where she's playing a role in a movie, like you say, and it's got these kind of intimate scenes, then that's the purpose of the nudity rider that she did not sign, is to establish boundaries. What is this person willing to do? What are they willing to show? That's what the nudity rider is there for. But it would be a ridiculous situation to be an actress in a movie where there are romantic scenes or sex scenes, and for every interaction where there's touch of any kind, you gotta check in with each other. Like, am I okay to touch you? It's just so
that was
sad.
Ezra's idea. By the way, nobody's doing that in personal life. They're certainly not doing it in professional life.
No.
Switch that and reverse it. I'm just saying that it's a ridiculous proposition that in a creative endeavor, there's not going to be some creative license taken. So, but as long as it's in the tenor, like I gave the example last week about Last Tango in Paris, like a good example of maybe where it might have been a crime, or definitely would have been a crime, is when the actress was not aware that she was going to be digitally penetrated. We thought she's filming a scene. Then Marlon Brando just decided to take it upon himself at the direction of the director of that film and literally sexually assaults her. And her reaction, her live reaction is captured in that film. And it's a very controversial film and scene and has been for the last 50 years now, 53 years. That's not what happened on this scene. We're talking about matters of degree, matters of centimeters. By the way, Amy Jo Trout says, if Lyman dismisses the SH claims, will she lose the Me Too protections from the California law? Will it X out the fees from Baldoni's dismissed countersuit? That's a question that I also share, Amy. What do you think about that? I think she's talking about 47.1. If the SH claims are MSJ'd or dismissed because of the motion for summary judgment, is she going to be able to recover treble damages by virtue of the 12B6 dismissal of Baldoni's complaint? My take on it is she shouldn't be able to, but then again, there's no case law on it, and there's not really any direction in the statute. What do you think about it, Leanne?
No, I'm inclined to agree with you. It's really hard because it's a case of first impression. So there's no, it's the statute's relatively new. There's no precedent set. It's hard to call, but yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you.
I mean, that's
I
common
don't,
sense, right? Yeah, what do you think, Emma?
I don't think Judge Lyman wants anything to do with that.
Yeah,
Because it's
he's like, yeah, I don't have to make a decision on this, and I ain't gonna. How about that?
Yeah, I don't think he wants to make that decision.
Yeah, that's a tough one. To be the first judge to set the precedent on that. Like, you don't want, it'd be one thing if there was something saying that he had to, but if we're interpreting it as any defeat, even if the SH claims were unsuccessful, means that she's going to get treble damages, that seems like a foul. That just, number one, it seems like a constitutional violation. Some attorneys would disagree with me on that. I think it violates the Constitution in that you're only supposed to punish frivolous complaints. And if the complaint that you brought was dismissed, but the complaint that you countersued for was also dismissed, then it seems like we got two bullshit complaints. Nobody should win. There should be no winners. That would be the common sense view of it. Amanda Vett with $10 says, after listening to Lauren go over the script, I wonder if that script was what was pitched to Lively. No S scenes, and then Sony Angie came back and said, we want this. I don't know, man. The bottom line is, if you're signing up for sex scenes,
the book had a lot of sex scenes in it.
She said she read the book, and then she said she didn't read the book. And then they're like, so which is it?
The notes on the script included Justin and Blake. So I thought that might have been something that either Blake or Ryan Reynolds contributed to.
Yeah. I think, well, you know what? Let's get into some of this deposition stuff. I don't know if you guys have gone through this deposition yet, but I went through the practice of going through it. I did it tonight. Let me pull this up on the screen and let me get out of this article. By the way, as far as the MSJ, this is my takeaway. Tell me if you agree, Leanne and Emma. I feel like Judge Lyman is focused on, this is a movie. You signed up for a movie. You knew that the movie contained certain elements in it. You consented to be the lead actress in it. And so there's problematic. You got to have creative license. He focused in on that and he questioned them on that. And then he had a real issue with contemporaneous elements of the allegations. Like, it doesn't even seem like Blake Lively, even if I were to consider these severe and pervasive to carry this all the way to trial and survive MSJ, she still has to have been subjectively bothered by this because of the severeness the severity and the pervasiveness of this. And so I'm not even sure that she meets that element. And then he goes on to state that all we have to do is defeat one element, and then the entire thing is gone. And so contemporaneous of the actions where she says that she feels uncomfortable is a thing. The creative venture that she's involved with is a thing. And then whether or not it's severe or pervasive or not is a thing. And then you have to consider that I really think that Judge Lyman is looking at this like, let's just assume that all this stuff is true. He said that you looked hot or whatever. Or he took creative license in an intimate scene that was preordained, that you knew about, that you were rehearsing. Or that Jamie Heath came in and accidentally copped a look. Is that sort of, given all, let's just assume I think that all that is true. Is it severe enough and pervasive enough to survive MSJ? And I'm just not sure that it is. But I don't think that he cancels it on those grounds. I think he cancels it or dismisses this complaint on the grounds that she was not subjectively bothered by this by virtue of her actions.
I mean,
And
how could she be subjectively bothered, really? Because she was comfortable enough to use words like sexy and hot herself.
Oh, the OT thing and cracking jokes in front of Justin, where they were talking about. Yeah, and then there was stuff like where I saw this on another stream that Lauren was on, where they were having a whole talk about, somebody made a joke about this bed is not big enough for sex or something. And then Justin's like, yeah, it totally isn't. And then they're like, how dare you? What made you think you're cool enough to join in on this joke? It's like, what was that about?
They did actually admit as well, between them, Blake Lively and Jenny Slate, that I think the wording was, there's safety if a woman says it, but if a man says it, like the exact same thing, then, that's a problem.
Could I
That's
just say,
so messed up.
yeah, could I just say, just for the record, if you're a woman and you crack jokes like that, and then the guy joins in, and then you're like, how dare you? You're kind of a dick.
Yeah,
like, what are you doing?
100% agree with you.
Yeah, it's a total double standard.
Yeah, I mean, what are we doing? It's hard enough being a guy, and then you join in on a joke, and all of a sudden that's now considered sexual harassment because I should have known that men are not invited in on the joke, even though I'm standing right here. Man,
I made a comment actually earlier on X. I was responding to someone else's post, and like in one of Ryan Reynolds' messages to someone, he refers to Ange Giannetti and Todd Black as, like elderly people or something like that. And I actually made the comment like, a woman's age seems to be fair game, but if you talk about her weight, these two bring you to federal court.
True.
What if somebody mentions, I honestly don't give a shit if anybody mentions my weight. But why is that such a sore spot for women? Like I tell my wife all the time, oh, you weigh like 128. She's like, how dare you?
I mean,
It's a vanity thing.
It shouldn't be a sore spot if it's for health and safety reasons, though.
She's giving me a dirty look right now. She's like, you motherfucker. Don't you dare. I was like, who cares how much you weigh? Like, I don't care how much you weigh. Like, I can tell. Like,
I actually like Blake Lively looking a little bit heavier than what she does right now. Like Blake
I don't know
Lively,
what she looks like right now, but
Blake Lively has lost a lot of weight. It looks like she's losing her hair. Like her hair seems a lot thinner.
yeah, she's probably stressed out.
Yeah, I think it's taken a toll on her.
I'm
It's probably
sure.
hair care products.
By the way, Kyle Atkins says she should read the book to prepare. I mean, you think, but
It's the minimum, isn't it?
or at least read the Cliff Notes. Do people still do that nowadays? Like, there used to be Cliff Notes before there was ChatGPT and the internet. Like, if you just wanted a summary of what the book was about, you'd buy the Cliff Notes, and it'd like give you a summary of like some Shakespeare book or whatever. Whatever. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. He also says, say Lively loses. Could Justin countersue for all her smearing? No, his lawsuit is done. He can't countersue anymore. I believe his claims were Leanne, wasn't his countersuit dismissed with prejudice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for the the financial and monetary claims, they were
Yeah, he
dismissed.
still has the right to collect on his attorney fees and costs, and so he can still do that. But no, he can't sue her for anything right now at this point, unless she does something not related to this incident. April Loves with the $2 super sticker. Thanks, young lady. I appreciate you. Bruce is in the house. What's up, man? He says it's so late. Oh, not for you, sir. You retired young man. Young man, he's older than me. He might be older. See, men don't care if you comment on their age, but women get all huffy about it. It's like, hey, we shouldn't be so egotistical about stupid things, you know? We age, we change, we do all these things. Never mind. I'm going out of bounds. We should probably get to the deposition transcript now. Let me. Oh, what did I do with it? It's not this thing. All right, hold on. I got to find out what I did. Oh, it is in, well, no. How do I share like a PDF like that's not a part of my Chrome tab? I thought that there was an easy way to do that. And for some reason.
Can you pull up the tab and then say share window instead of screen?
Yeah.
Or you can add where you click present, then you can slides and PDFs.
Yeah, maybe I'll do it like that. But that's going to be it's not going to have all of my stuff in there if I do it that way. Let me try this. I'm going to try one more thing and then I'm going to get on with it. How about that? MSJ, that's not what I'm looking for. Here, how about if I close this? And folks, thanks for being patient with me. Sometimes, I've gotten a lot better at this kind of stuff. It's been a while since I've had a hiccup like this. Let me see.
Omar, the chat is asking, Justin can appeal.
I think his appeal is over, honestly.
I thought Lyman's kind of stayed his right to appeal until he had decided on the...
Oh, did he do that? I didn't know that. Well, then, yes, I guess he could still appeal.
Yeah, he put it aside. There was something he had to decide on for Lively. I think it was a section 47.1 damages. He could, so the order was that Justin could appeal after he had kind of finalized his decision on the 47.1 damages, so then it could all be kind of dealt with together.
By the way, I figured it out because you guys see my highlighted notes on the deposition.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I didn't know that he stayed because normally it would have been 60 days after the decision on the 12B6, but which is long since passed. But if he stayed, his ability to or basically stop the clock, then I guess he can still appeal.
Yeah, he stopped the clock. He did.
Which I guess kind of like sort of absolves Judge Lyman.
Yeah.
Because my beef with him and dismissing the 12B6 is like, number one, he's treating like an MSJ. For one, he's arguing the merits of the case rather than just looking at the plain words of the pleadings, which is what you're supposed to do on the 12B6. And then he's doing it at such an early age before they had even, like they were in the infancy of discovery at that point. And so how could they possibly have all of the information needed to make like a good faith pleading? You know what I mean?
Oh,
do you think he did
and
that
I think especially the Ryan Reynolds one, actually, if Justin appeals, I think he stands a quite good chance actually for that, because the evidence actually shows he doesn't mention sexual harassment at all. Like, he just calls him names and tells everyone, oh, he's a predator.
Well, that kind of changes things for me. So that, I guess he could appeal then. He can appeal. He could do it on 12B6 grounds. I guess the question would still be though on appeal, and I'm not sure how they would work that on appeal because it's got to be a mistake of law.
Yeah.
And maybe that prevails, and maybe they could say that, look, he dismissed this too early as a matter of law, which was an abuse of discretion. And had he delayed in making his decision, waited 90 days, perhaps he would have completed discovery and found all of this extra stuff that would have made its way into a third amended complaint, which would not have been subject to dismissal on 12b6 grounds and would have made its way to trial. And perhaps maybe that's some leverage for Baldoni going forward in the trial. That's a really good point. When did that happen? I've missed so much like after the 12b6 stuff because I was doing other things.
I think it was like September, October time it was.
Oh yeah, I was deep in the Laura Owens trial. At that time, I was not fully focused on this case at all. I think I was taking a hiatus. Anyway, let's get to some of this, some of the deposition stuff. Leanne, I think you said you regularly do depositions the last time we were live. Is that true?
No, we don't do stuff like that in the UK.
Oh, do you have like an equivalent?
No, we just go to trial. It's just, like we do the you've got to hand over the evidence. We have subpoenas,
Yeah.
And summonses, but no, we just go, to the court, basically, present the evidence, present the arguments, done.
That's really efficient. In America, we like to play games. It's like, here, let's put this prospective litigant in the hot seat and like intimidate the shit out of him with all of this cross-examination and then kind of strong arm him into a settlement that we want before trial. It's just the way we litigate.
Give people a practice run.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like, are we giving them like a practice run, or are you? Because obviously, you're not going to bring your A game questions into deposition because you're just trying to get what you're trying to do in the deposition is you're trying to make them say answers that you can attack at trial. Which there's multiple examples of this in this portion of the deposition from Lively. But let's get into some of this. By the way, some of my highlighting color code stuff. Yellow is the questions. Green is not necessarily harmful in my opinion, at least on the first read. Answers from Lively. If I highlight it in red, that's like a WTF moment. Like, hey, that's going to be problematic. And so you'll see like this color coding going on. And that's just kind of how I did it. But some of these questions. Hey, Emma, do you want to play the role of Blake Lively?
Sure.
Okay.
Give me a page number.
All right. Well, they'll be highlighted the answers just as I read the questions. And Leanne, you could do the objections. You could be Ezra. How about that?
Why not?
Objection because that question is bullshit. She did that a couple times. Perhaps we could shed light on why it's object. So, and you might not be familiar because depositions are different. Like in depositions, when you object, you can only object to the form of the question. You can't object to like relevance. You can't object to hearsay. You're allowed to ask those questions. But you could object to the form of the question, like if it's vague or if it's a compound question, like leading questions or that kind of stuff. And every now and then you'll see lawyers get into fights over depositions because they're trying to distract from the bad testimony that their client is giving. And so when you see an attorney throwing a tantrum, it's a pretty good indication that it's not going well for their client. Just so you know. All right. Did you have any concern prior to accepting the role that would be some sort of an issue? Oh, I should read the first question. Okay.
Can you give me a page number? I can't see on the phone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you're doing this on your phone? So I'm going to be jumping around a bunch. Start on page 5 of Lively's deposition. Page 5, line 18. Now I understand that you had heard that Justin Baldoni was involved in the film. What did you learn about what his involvement was?
I learned that he was the director and was to star as the male lead in the film, as well as retaining the rights as Warren described.
And did you have any concern prior to accepting the role that would be some sort of an issue, that he would be both the lead actor and also, be the director?
I have worked with actors before who have been both the actor and director. So it's not necessarily an immediate concern, but there are many factors at play with each person.
Were the factors at play specifically with Mr. Baldoni as the male lead and the director during that time?
Specific to him, not necessarily. Every job, you have to consider all elements and all factors.
Prior to accepting the role to play Lily Bloom, had you met Justin Baldoni?
Yes.
On how many occasions?
1.
Where was that meeting?
In New York City, in my apartment.
How long did the meeting last?
I don't recall. It was a couple of hours.
Do you recall when the meeting was?
December of 2022.
How was it determined that the meeting would take place at your apartment in New York City?
Agents from my end. I don't know how it was determined from anyone else's.
Do you recall the day that you actually met Justin in your apartment? Leanne, that's your cue.
Objection.
Are you asking about the
Should we
date?
do the thing? Should we say, hey, grounds? Should we do the Del Brooks thing? Objection, grounds. What would be the reason to object there? What's the objection to that question, Leanne?
I'm not really sure.
It's probably just vagueness and objection vague because she's saying then, well, are you asking about the date? Yes. Then she says no. All right. Well, do you remember whether it was during the day or in the evening?
Day.
And who was present at the meeting?
At the meeting, well, the two of us were in the meeting, but there were many people present.
Who else was present?
My sister was there. My family was there. We have employees coming in and out constantly.
Tell me what you recall about that meeting and what you said during the meeting.
Can you be more specific?
Sure. Do you believe that you were personally sexually harassed in connection with the making of the film It Ends With Us? There's a big look. That's like a 45-minute jump. I know that doesn't make any sense. Anyway, that's this. I guess they're just setting up stuff. But here's the crux of it. They start getting into the SH stuff. Do you believe that you were personally sexually harassed in connection with the making of the film It Ends With Us? Attorney Hudson. Objection. And the objection there would be that calls for a legal conclusion, but she answers it. Emma, that's your cue. Oh, we're on page 49, by the way. The answer was yes. Who do you believe sexually harassed you? I think Emma's lost her place. Emma, are you still with us? Oh, there she is.
Sorry, I got kicked out.
That's all right. Let me get this one off of the screen. Okay. Let me. Do you have the page number up and everything?
I'm on page 8 of 41.
Go to page 49 or yeah, 8 of 41. That's good. Okay. Okay. This is the part where she starts getting in trouble. Do you believe that you were personally sexually harassed in connection with the making of the film It Ends With Us?
Objection.
Yes.
Who do you believe sexually harassed you?
Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath.
Anyone else?
If you're asking if my gender played a role in the behavior towards me, I would add Steve Starwitz to that.
Actually, I wasn't asking you that question, but how did Steve Starwitz sexually harass you?
He was the chairman of the studio, is my understanding. And this is the studio that I was raising concerns with. And instead of addressing concerns, I believe that I was dismissed. And so to use my own description, I do believe my gender played a role in how I was treated.
The obvious follow-up question here is, so what is your description of gender discrimination? What does it mean to you? But they brilliantly didn't ask that question. They brilliantly refrained and held back and just kind of moved on, because that sets up for a jury that, number one, Blake Lively is in her own world with this stuff. That goes to dismantling her argument on the grounds that not severe or pervasive. But then there's other things, because, you know, we got to get to the subjective aspects of it as well. Moving on. Did you ever discuss with Steve the fact that you were sexually harassed?
No.
Did Steve ever say anything to you that you felt was inappropriate or made you uncomfortable?
To me, no.
Then Blake, what the fuck?
Yep.
Did Steve affirmatively do anything himself that made you feel uncomfortable or you felt was inappropriate?
I felt him attending the birthing scene was inappropriate.
The nerve of that guy to tend to go to. When was the birthing scene?
May of 2023.
What did Justin do to sexually harass you?
Objection.
Can
Calls
you
for
be
legal
more?
conclusion.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Can you be more specific?
Sure. You're claiming that Justin sexually harassed you, correct?
Yes, it's a long complaint.
Is that a yes?
Yes,
What did he do to sexually harass you?
there are a series of
Objection.
things.
Objection. Yeah. Again, that when I believe that she's objecting because it calls for a legal conclusion. She doesn't state it, but it's the obvious descriptor there. There were a series of things. Do you recall the first thing that he did where you felt you were sexually harassed?
Objection.
Again, legal conclusion. Go ahead. I noticed I highlighted this whole paragraph in red.
There were things that he said and did where at the time you feel confused by someone's behavior or words, being at odds with who they say they are. And you start to see different pieces come together and the workplace feels overwhelming. So there were different moments.
The correct answer to that question would have been like, out of nowhere, out of the blue, he brought up this circumcised penis. And then the next thing he did was he physically objectified me in front of the entire set. And then the third thing he brought up was him and his wife's sex life, specific instances. This meandering response is not helping her. What is the first thing that you recall?
I recall him telling me that he's circumcised
When did he tell you that?
in December of 2022
Where were you physically when he told you that?
at my apartment.
Was that the same meeting that we were previously discussing in a different meeting?
It was the same meeting.
How did that even come up? Were you discussing something or was it just something that came out of the blue?
I was pregnant and I didn't know the gender of my child. And we were discussing different decisions that parents make and different factors, having boys versus girls. I only had girls, and we were discussing the different medical decisions people make these days, including circumcision for male babies.
And did he bring that up or did you bring that up?
I don't remember.
That's a big deal. What did he say about circumcision?
He told me the decision that they made for their child, they being him and his wife, Emily. And then he offered that he was circumcised.
Did he say anything in response to that?
I was in shock.
You were in shock. So you couldn't speak or what?
I don't know. I don't know what I don't know what I said or did.
Did you tell him that you were offended by it?
No.
Did you discuss with anyone the fact that you were offended by him saying that?
Yes.
Who did you discuss that with?
My husband.
About what? Oh, and then there's a jump in time. So what do you think? Severe and pervasive? What do you think, Leanne?
No, I don't.
Is that more of like, what are we doing, Blake? Why
It's
is this?
not like, I'm going to sound awful here, but I'm just going to say it as I think it in my head. It's not like he's describing everything, and he's like talking about, size and various things like that and all that. It's just like, oh, I've had this medical procedure done. And they're already on the topic of conversations. I mean, honestly, how can you be shocked?
I was shocked. And I put that in red because that's going to detract from her credibility with the jury. You were shocked. What do you mean you couldn't speak? Like, was there a look on your face? Were you catatonic? Did you like retreat inside of yourself? Did you need a safe space? Did we need to be more considerate of your feelings? Tell me what shocked means to you. That's the kind of stuff they're going to bring up in at trial if we get that far. I don't know, Emma, severe and pervasive? What do you think?
No, and this is before she even signed on to the movie.
Yeah.
So she knew at least something when she went into this, and she accepted it. And based on, their conversations, Blake Lively has said way more inflammatory content than what I think is going on here.
Yeah. And then
I mean,
jumping a couple of minutes ahead. No, go ahead.
In addition to that, you got to look at who she's married to. Ryan Reynolds kind of, sent a text message to Justin Baldoni, in her own words, her boss, talking about, getting a producer's face tattooed on his perineum. She looks for that kind of a man. Like, really?
Is the perineum, I know what a perineum is.
It's the bit between, like, the balls and the butthole.
Thanks, Leanne, for that.
You're welcome.
Yes, it is. It's the scientific phrase. What a it's the taint. What a place to get a tattoo. Freak. What is that about? That is yikes. Wildly
But it's
painful.
also like, getting one of the, a female producer's face tattooed on there. How is that not considered sexual harassment?
How is that not sexual harassment?
But in the real world, if my husband called my boss and said that, I'm pretty sure I would have been sent to like human resources or something like that.
Yeah, something. That's not an appropriate conversation to have with somebody that you don't know that well, You have like a specific relationship with to bring that kind of stuff up. Or somehow more is considered, I don't know. Anyway, they jump ahead in this depot a couple of minutes. The question is, can you be more specific? Or does she ask him that about him being circumcised? Go ahead, Emma.
About him being circumcised, that's all I remember.
Did his comment in any way cause you to reconsider whether you wanted to do the film or not?
I found it disturbing, but given that it was one comment and he seemed nice, I wrote it off as him taking a benign conversation too far and hoped and assumed it would be an isolated incident.
I would have personally liked them to press a little bit more into how he specifically took it too far, because all she said was they discussed a medical decision. And he mentioned that, well, I'm not circumcised, and maybe there's some comment there, but it was in the context of making a medical decision for your child. And then she goes on to say, well, he seemed nice. And maybe I was overreacting, I guess is the implication for that, in which case maybe they're right. Maybe that's the time to just move on from that question. Did you ever tell him that he had taken that comment, and by making that comment, he had taken that too far?
Yes.
Okay, when did you tell him that?
Me personally?
Yes.
I believe the date was January 4th, 2023. That is, I'm sorry. That's ridiculous. A year later?
Prior to January 4th, had you told him that he had taken that too far and that was an inappropriate comment?
That specific comment?
Yes.
No.
Is there any reason why you didn't say that?
There are a lot of reasons. He was my boss.
He was your boss at that time?
Not at that moment, but later. You asked why I didn't say something later.
Is there a reason why I didn't say something at that time?
I believe
Objection. Silliness.
Oh, I'm struggling to see the screen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I believe I already answered that question.
Did you discuss with Warren Zavala that comment that was made?
I don't believe so, but I don't recall.
Did you discuss with anyone else that represents you, like your manager or your agents or anyone else like that he had made that comment? And then Hudson gets pissed off because it's not going well. Go ahead, Leanne.
Yeah, I was going to say the objection to the extent that the question calls for attorney-client privilege communications. If you can answer without are we going into a different page here?
Yeah, it's a 7-minute cutoff, but yeah, they get into the whole. If you can answer that without going into attorney-client stuff, then go for it. But to the extent that it goes into attorney-client privilege or communications, then I'm objecting and instructing my client not to answer on those grounds. It's probably how that finished. Now they're into some seven. I don't know who's talking here. Was what works better for me is to not read the book in advance because, oh, this is Lively talking about how she didn't read the book. Go ahead, Emma.
What works better for me is to not read the book in advance because it is hard for me to see the blind spots in the film because you can't unlearn what you know from a book. You can't fill in story or character holes from what you know from a book. So I like to look at the film as its own piece to make sure that it works on its own.
In April of 23, did you know that there were sex scenes in the novel It Ends With Us?
Yes.
Did you know that what sex scenes there were?
I don't understand your question.
Sure. The book It Ends With Us has sex scenes within the book, correct?
Objection.
I believe so, yes.
But you're not sure though, right?
I know there are sex scenes in the book, yes.
Did you read the book?
No.
How do you know that there are sex scenes in the book? And then they cut off. Obviously, that's bad testimony for her. And they skip ahead to like an hour and a half. It's 11:55, and then they go to 1:38 p.m. So they break for lunch. What do you think about this? So I think the entire section of deposition testimony, like Emma, like you had this comment, like a year later, seriously? And I think that was Judge Lyman's reaction, like a year later, really? The first time you had a conversation was in January of 23. And then in the midst of that, you described him as a nice guy. And I think Lyman had even commented something about that in the MSJ arguments. How could you say that you felt harassed, but you didn't bother to mention it to anything or anybody or anyone until like a year later? And then your own testimony, you said you thought he was a nice guy. What are we doing, Blake? I feel like that's where he was going with that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it does. Her answers don't make sense. This is
Yeah.
La La Land.
Leanne, how would you capitalize on that testimony? The fact that she's just so wishy-washy about like the specifics, the timing of it all, who she spoke with, not knowing details, not knowing who spoke first, not knowing this and that, and then not even reading the book, not sure that she'd read the book, and having to give an explanation about why she didn't read the book and why she lied earlier in the testimony. Like, what do you do with that as an attorney?
I mean, what, a trial?
Well, it would be, well, yeah, not in deposition, but in trial, that's when, I mean, you impeach the shit out of them. You attack their credibility.
I mean, you know, there are, like, you look through all the text messages and everything, all, you know, with her famous friends, with Taylor Swift, with Matt Damon and his wife, and, you know, all the agents as well that were involved. There's none of them talk about SH. You got Colleen Hoover's message to the two Sony executives, you know, talking about, well, I don't think Justin should come to the premiere. And it's the reason she gives is because, well, I understand why Blake would feel aggrieved, you know, that someone else is taking credit for her hard work. This is, you know, weeks before the premiere, so well past the sexual harassment stage, not a mention of sexual harassment. The other thing we've also got as well is because I've carefully watched the dockets, you know, all of the dockets that have been involved in all of this. And one of the things I actually put out yesterday was the story is changed as evidence is coming out that actually kind of debunks what she's saying. So in all of her complaints, this during the birth scene, you know, she keeps referring to this thin piece of fabric that she had to wear that covered her genitals and all that stuff.
Her perineum.
Yeah. And she referred to it as being nude coloured until the motion for summary judgment. Now, Wayfarer had already said she wore black briefs, and so had the actor Adam Monshine to come out and said she was wearing black briefs. But then with the summary judgment motion, they exhibited behind the scenes footage of the birth scene, which showed her wearing black briefs. And then all of a sudden, her response in the 56.1 statement had changed the color of that piece of fabric from nude to black. And I just, you use all of this to impeach the story's changing. I would also exhibit her motion to dismiss from the Texas docket as well against Jed Wallace, where, you know, she describes the same scene and she just says that she's nude. There's not even a mention of fabric. She's just
You're
nude.
right. You're right.
But there's no one in the Texas docket who can speak to that and say, no, that's not true, because Jed Wallace wasn't there. So she amps up her allegations.
Yeah. Imagine like you're on the jury and you're hearing this testimony and like you're seeing these discrepancies. Like, what do you start thinking as a potential juror? Like, I mean, if I was on the jury, I feel like, is she just making it up? Like, is she like trying to fill in the gaps, like after the fact? I would have a real like, it's one thing, because look, I've been on cases where people can't fill in the gaps because they're traumatized by the situation. They have difficulty talking about it, remembering specifics, but they don't have anything to financially gain from anything. It'd be like in the context of like a criminal trial or things like that. But in the case, taking everything in context, where it looks like she tries to take over the film, does it feel like she's just making shit up for financial gain? Would that be your impression as a juror?
Yeah,
I
mean,
definitely
would.
for financial gain, for some sort of personal gain.
I mean, and you know, like when she's you know, kind of like you're able to catch, you know, like with the fabric, you know, you're able to catch in real time her changing details, like in her testimony. I think her case crumbles, and you know, it's the same for her assertion that she's an employee. You look at her PGA letter and all the things that she said that she had control over. I don't think anyone can reasonably agree that she was an employee and did not hold power. She had all the power.
Yeah, there's no signed contracts, and they bent to her every whim.
Every whim.
Yeah. At best, she was independent contractor, but at most, she was basically directing the film.
Yes.
She was not being dismissed on account of her gender. I'll tell you that much. They gave her everything she asked for.
Yeah, and I mean, she threw that up a lot as well. This, you know, she throws up this whole "I'm overlooked because I'm a woman." She did the same thing with, I think it was WME actually, and she was like, I think because she wasn't getting the dailies initially, and then one of her messages to WME, I think it was like, you know, they're overlooking me because I'm a woman, and then she made this comment, like off the cuff comment, "I've got my HR report ready to go."
Yeah.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Kelly Kapoor from The Office. Like she's getting in trouble. Like, why did you do this and that? And then she just says to Michael Scott, "I was raped. I don't know what to tell. I was raped." Like, and this is Blake Lively. It was gender discrimination. I felt dismissed. I wasn't being taken into account. They were showing me no consideration because I'm a woman.
And that's what she said to Justin Baldoni as well. To get him to agree to let her like have a go at writing the rooftop scene, only for her to pass it to her male husband to do it. And it's like, you know, it's embarrassing for women. I'll just say that.
Yeah, when you say stuff, I mean, it just it degrades genuine complaints. And I've said this a million times, but when you have a woman like weaponizing sexual harassment and gender discrimination for financial gain, it sincerely erodes the confidence that society has in these types of claims, where we go from giving them the benefit of the doubt to looking at them sideways before they ever step foot in court. That's the effect.
Yeah.
And look, the pendulum swings both ways, and it swung a certain way, and now it's swinging the other way. Who knows? Everything's kind of screwed up in America right now. I guess we'll see. But let me get to some of these super chats before I forget. K Bella 25 says, "I always sue everyone who's ever called me hot or sexy. I've won over 600 lawsuits. What's the problem?" Well, I've won 2. So how about that? The unsolicited opinion with 10 says, if Lively's claims to survive motion for summary judgment and the trial negatively impacts future filmmaking like improvising, that will be when Hollywood fully slams the door on her, if they haven't slammed it already. By the way, what's her career prospects look like right now with respect to this pending litigation? Does she have any projects in the works? Does anybody know?
I mean, she's got projects in pre-production, but they're not assigned to directors or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're stagnant right now.
I can imagine. By the way, Pilech, you know, these names, man. I have no idea how to pronounce this. Pilechiep. Pilechiep is a new member. Thank you. I appreciate you. Kyle Atkins with 5 says, thanks for doing this for us, answering questions and double checking. That's spelled D-U-B-B-L-E. Yes, sir. Aquanaut is in the house. What's up, young lady with the $5? Okay, let's get into some of the stuff because it gets a little more salacious towards the they start specifically talking about the sex scenes. We went through this, didn't we? I know there are sex scenes in the book. No. Okay. I just want to walk through some of the other allegations of sexual harassment. One of the things that's alleged in the amended complaint is I believe that you're saying that Justin complimented your outfits. Is that correct?
Objection.
What page are we on? I lost
Oh,
you.
we're on page 83, 15 of the PDF. Line 9.
Line 9. Oh, objection. No.
Are you saying that one of the incidences of sexual harassment or something that made you otherwise uncomfortable was one day in which Justin commented how much he likes your outfit?
No.
Did Justin ever say anything inappropriate or that bothered you concerning an outfit that you wore?
Objection.
There was an incident that made me uncomfortable. Yes.
When?
Late May of 2023.
Do you recall the dates?
I don't know the exact date. No.
Do you recall where that took place?
Yes.
Where?
On a set, a bar set when we were rehearsing.
That was the bar scene.
No, we were rehearsing that scene, but no, it was not the scene. It was when I arrived to work.
Can you tell me what happened?
Can you be more specific? Sorry.
Sure. What about whatever happened there made you feel uncomfortable?
I was wearing, I had a newborn baby and I had a jacket on and that was covering my dress underneath. And I bent down to pick up something and the jacket opened and my dress was low cut because it was easier to feed my baby. And Mr. Baldoni said Justin said in front of, I remember in front of Jenny Slate, and I don't remember specifically who else was there, but he said, I like her outfit. And he gestured at the chest.
You just made a movement of your hand.
Yes.
It's hard for the court reporter to mark those down. What do you mean he made a gesture of his hand and said, I like your dress?
He gestured across the chest.
Did he gesture across your chest or his chest?
He said, I like your outfit.
He moved his hand up and down, like above and below his chest or your chest?
I was standing in front of him, so I don't know whose chest, but he didn't touch my chest.
Okay.
If that's what you're asking.
When he made the gesture in front of his chest, was his arm closer to his chest or closer to your chest?
I don't recall.
What were you doing during this time? Was it during a rehearsal of some sort?
We weren't rehearsing the scene yet, but I was on the set to rehearse the scene.
Who else was present, if anyone?
The person I remember most is obviously...
And it skips like 20 minutes. What do you think of this characterization? Leanne, examine this.
This is ridiculous.
What are we doing?
I know, like, I mean, I don't even know why it's being brought up because, you know, he said, I like your outfit.
I like your dress, and he does this. I'm just.
I mean,
that's
he
how
should have been just kind of gesturing towards it, the outfit, like, you know, putting his hand out flat to kind of in the direction. But I mean, if she does, how do you not know whose chest he is gesturing towards?
Well, that's problematic, right? I don't recall.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like if it was her chest, it was deliberate like that.
Yeah.
It would be pretty obvious. I don't know. That's the kind of details that I would expect somebody that felt genuinely upset by that to know.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even see why she's genuinely upset about it, to be honest.
I mean, just by the legal standards, severe and pervasive, yes or no?
No.
No.
Yeah, not even close.
No.
All right, so there's a 20-minute jump in time here. the question was, do you recall an instance like that? And then go ahead, Emma.
Yes, those words were used. I have a lot of recollection of, in general, words like that being used.
Do you have a specific recollection of a day, time, or scene that Justin had used those words?
They would be used in the context of the film. Scenes that needed to be sexy, characters or wardrobe. Yeah, that would be used in that way. That never made me uncomfortable. What?
Okay, so is it fair to say that any time that Justin either used the term sexy or hot, that didn't make you feel uncomfortable? Is that correct?
Objection.
That's not what I said.
Has Justin ever used the term sexy or hot where it made you feel uncomfortable?
Yes.
Okay, when was that?
Late May of 2023.
And where were you located?
The bar set.
That was part of the filming of the movie.
The bar set for the film. It was a real bar, but it was used as a location in the movie.
Do you recall what time of day that was?
It was early in the day.
Where were you standing when he made those comments?
In the bar set?
Yes. You were standing in the bar set. Any more description you can give me about where in the bar where you were standing?
There was a table that we were all acting around that was probably in the middle of the bar, but we hadn't begun the scene yet, so we were in the midst of the bar set.
And what happened specifically?
With what?
With him using the term sexy or hot.
He asked me to remove my coat that I was wearing, which was a wardrobe coat, which was a part of the look that had been photographed and shared for that scene. And when I arrived to set, he asked me, once I was on set amongst others, I remember once again Jenny Slate standing there, and he said, "Can you take can you take off your coat?" And I thought it was more interesting outfit to wear the coat. I thought it was more like, I can't say that. Eclectic and dynamic. And he said, "Well, we want to see it without the coat." So I took the coat off, and under the coat, I was wearing a onesie that was zipped low with a lace bra peeking out, because the scene after this is a sex scene, or a hookup scene rather. And he asked me to take off the coat. And I'm standing amongst many cast and crew and extras, and I felt on display. And he said, "I think you look sexy." And I said, "That's not what I'm going for." And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, hot?" And I said, "Not that either." And then he said, "Well, I guess I missed the HR meeting," and looked at me. I remember him being aware of Jenny Slate and getting a little huffy and walked off. And I performed the scene without the coat.
So let's frame all this. Number one, in trial, very little of this testimony is going to resemble this, because that's basically hearsay, like 80% of it, at least in all the references to things that he's saying. But didn't Justin reference this same scene and said that, hey, she looked hot, as in, you're wearing a onesie, it's hot in here, you look like you're hot? Wasn't that the explanation that Justin gave?
Yeah, the temperature was like 90 degrees. And if you take a look at some of the photos, I think that is what she's wearing. She looks flushed. Like, her cheeks are like super red. Like, she kind of looks like she might need some water or something, is what I thought looking at it. But I think he meant temperature wise and not physically.
And so this whole characterization is basically some conjured up her trying to correct the deficiencies in her report, this meandering response. I mean, honestly, with the whole sex thing, she could have ended the discussion with, yeah, I was wearing a onesie, but my bra was kind of peeking out. That's not gonna, I don't know. Baldoni's explanation is much simpler and it makes more sense. What do you think about that, Leanne?
Well, the one thing that really bothers me about I suppose this one, but with quite a few other of the instances that she describes, but this one in particular is, my kind of experience of employers who sexually harass their employees. They normally do it kind of covertly, discreetly, where they get them on their own. Right? They're in a corridor somewhere, no one's watching. They've just walked into a closet or a room, and they kind of walk in behind them and shut the door. And that's when they
sexually harass someone, they don't do it in front of witnesses.
Yeah. In other words, like what he thought he was doing was socially acceptable.
Yeah.
At least to the people
Yeah.
on the set.
Yeah,
He
absolutely.
wanted to be ordinary. He wasn't like a hitting on her because of a lace bra that he could see through a onesie. That doesn't even make any sense to me. I don't
No,
recall
why
this
not
picture
just off a onesie?
you know, but it makes a lot of sense that, hey, onesies are kind of hot, like temperature wise. Like I wouldn't want to wear a onesie because I overheat at night. I need to have like all the fans on me, and it seems like something that would be really uncomfortable. Especially if it's 90 degrees there inside the bar or whatever temperature it was, anything above 70 degrees, really. They continue. Now they get into the Jamie Heath stuff. All right. Question. Was the trailer unlocked?
I don't know if it was unlocked at that point. He attempted to come in and we stopped him from coming in.
When you say we, who are you referring to?
My hair and makeup artists.
Did you have a security there at the time?
In my trailer? No.
Outside your trailer?
I don't know where they were standing at that moment.
The name of a security person is Kevin, correct?
We have different people who rotate.
Sorry, I didn't see the objection there.
Oh, you were going to object. I was going to say, oh, get on with it. Like, fuck off. Objection, object this. I asked you, the security guy's name is Kevin, right? Objection, shut up. We have different people who rotate. I'm sorry, that was you. You answered. Was there always someone, a security person outside your trailer?
Objection.
Not necessarily stationed right outside of the hair and makeup door. They patrol.
In other words, they're not alone. There's people around. Do you know, as you sit here today, do you recall that specific second day of production, whether or not there was a security person outside your trailer?
I don't recall, no. I was inside the trailer, so I wouldn't have seen who was standing there.
Did you ever call out for security or ask for security to come in and take Jamie away?
Objection.
Objection.
No.
That sucks for my client. Sorry. That's why she's objecting. I can see no other valid reason for this objection. How long was Jamie in your trailer for?
I don't know exactly, but I would say around 5 minutes.
What was discussed during the 5 minutes that he was in your trailer?
We were meant to have a production meeting that night, and he came to my trailer we were going to have a production meeting in my trailer, and he came to the hair and makeup trailer as I was getting my body makeup removed and my wig off, and so that I could wrap out hair and makeup, and then I could then go into my own trailer and have a meeting with them. He unexpectedly came to my trailer, knocked on the door, said, "We've got to talk." I said, "We can't talk right now. I'll be there in a few minutes. I'm getting done as fast as I can so we can have this meeting." He said, "Oh, no, we've got to talk now." Reporter clarification.
Oh, you don't got to read that part.
Oh, okay. From where?
I said, I'll meet you in there in a minute.
I'm undressed. I'm getting ready for the meeting. I'll be there in just a minute. And he said, if we don't meet now, we can't do that meeting. And that meeting was very important to me because it was to discuss other behavior I had experienced earlier that day that was concerning to me. So I said, okay, fine, you can come in. And he came in and said, okay, you can come in, but please don't look. Can you turn around? So he turned around and he faced the wall. And I was in front of the hair and makeup mirror as my team was working. They call it double teaming when they're both working at the same time to either get you ready or disassemble you. And I was helping as well so that we could work quickly. And Jamie said that the meeting had to happen on my time, the meeting we're about to have, because of my turnaround, which is the time from the time that I am done with work until the time I start again, my turnaround was 12 hours. And he said, "This meeting has to be on your clock. We don't have time for this." And I said, "This isn't a personal meeting. This is a production meeting to discuss how to make the set better and smoother." And he was arguing for it to be on my personal time. And I said, "My personal time is important to me because I have a newborn baby. When I go home, I prepare for the baby, I work out, I have a lot of responsibilities. I really need my time. And this is not a personal meeting, it's a production meeting."
And then everybody stood up and applauded that brilliant monologue. Brilliance. Very, very good. That was wonderful, Blake.
And as I'm having this negotiation with him, I turn to
sorry.
him and he's staring straight at me. He's no longer facing the wall. He's staring straight at me. And I said, "Jamie, what are you doing? You said you would turn around." Oh, sorry. I like to make eye contact with people when I talk to them. And I said, "You need to leave." And so he left the trailer. And I finished getting ready. I was incredibly shaken. My memory is my hair and makeup. The women who did my hair and makeup were shaken as well. And then I finished doing my work and I went in and I took the meeting.
All right. So my first impression, just initial thoughts. In all of the previous instances where she describes being harassed, she couldn't remember specifics. She couldn't remember who said what at what time. She couldn't remember specific quotes. She couldn't remember the positioning of people. She couldn't remember all these things. But now she just remembers this full-on conversation, word for word, verbatim between her and Jamie Heath. And Jamie Heath is like, "Yeah, we need to have this production meeting right now. I don't give a shit if you're naked. Get out here or you're fired." Is what she's trying to make it seem like, as opposed to like, "Hey, let me put on a shirt and then we could talk." The way that it was described in other stuff that we've read was she invited him in, said, "Don't cop a look," and was comfortable with him being in there. And then he accidentally copped a look or saw something that he shouldn't have saw. And she called him out for it. It's like, "Well, then why did you leave me in? Or why'd you invite me in?" That's my understanding of before this monologue that she gave of how that all went down. Leanne, when a witness does something like that, does it signal something to you that there's things to attack on cross?
Potentially, yeah.
And by the way, like,
there's multiple versions of this story as well.
Yeah.
The hair and makeup give different accounts. Alex Sachs, because Jamie Heath wasn't on his own either. He did. I think he was the only one that went up in the trailer.
Yeah.
But the knocking bit outside, and whether he was called in or whether they said don't come in, there was other people. And Alex Sachs corroborated what Jamie Heath said.
Yeah. And by the way, this testimony from this deposition is not getting to trial like that. The jury's not going to hear it like this.
No.
Because she doesn't get to give Jamie Heath's hearsay statements. Jamie Heath will be a witness and he could testify himself what he said on those occasions. She could give her impressions about what she felt, about what her understandings were, but she can't offer Jamie Heath's statements because it's hearsay. And he's going to be there to testify those things himself. So the jury's not going to hear it this way. I'm just saying that this signals to me on deposition that this is a really weak part of her case. And if we press her on this, Jamie Heath, when he testifies, is going to make a hell of a lot more sense than Blake Lively. This whole thing, look, production meeting in 5 minutes or you're fired. I don't care if you're clothed or not. We need to do this right now. And I have to look at you in the eyes while you're bare-breasted in front of me because you're whatever she was doing. That doesn't make sense to anybody that's ever encountered a woman that is actively pumping. Like most men know what to do. Like, hey, they're wearing a towel or whatever. They just leave them alone. Jamie, he said he was invited in. The witness accounts seem to be that he was invited in at Blake Lively's invitation. He goes in there and then they have a conversation. She takes exception. And then at other points, it seems like, well, I don't think that Jamie Heath did anything on purpose. Judge Lyman had commented something about that at the MSJ.
I mean, again, why would he do this with witnesses there?
Yeah,
I'm really struggling with that element. Like, all of these things happen when there just happen to be allied witnesses for Blake Lively around.
Well,
yeah, and this is the other part of it too.
Didn't Jamie Heath say in his deposition that when he did go into the trailer at first, he offered to leave because
Yes.
she noticed that she was either whatever.
Yes.
I mean,
And here
that's
she
a big
says,
impact.
as she continues her response, you could read this part, Emma, starting at line 19.
Well, when I turned, he was fully facing me and I was topless. So I don't know all of the contours of my body that his eyes were on.
Okay. And when you were topless, did you have body makeup on?
Yes.
And as you sit here today, you don't, it jumps in time. Anyway, that's.
But that's
how,
at odds as well with that article you read first.
Yeah.
That said he was looking at her through a mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so these are the things that Lyman is keyed up on. It's like, look, if all these things really happen to you, he has an issue with the timing of her allegations, for one. And if the timing is off, if she was really as sexually harassed as she claims, if there's not a contemporaneous match in time, and if the timing that the allegations were made appear to be self-serving, he sincerely doubts that she had the subjective feeling that she was being sexually harassed required to carry this past MSJ. And so 100%, I'm calling that counts 1 through 7 are going to get dismissed.
Do you know, there is also the other part that bothers me with this is the suggestion that, she didn't have the meeting there and then, regardless of what she's wearing, that there was going to be all these consequences. This is the same person who, was going back and forth her agents, like, well, they won't let me do this, so I'm going to do this. I'm not going to promote the film. I'm not going to, I don't want him at his own premiere. And just calling all of these shots, literally stole a cut of the film without, after defying both Sony and Wayfarer. Well, Wayfarer didn't even know about it, but defying Sony, and took it to Book Bonanza and showed it to the public. But yet, she was kind of, she was under these intense conditions that she was compelled to let Jamie Heath in while she was undressed. It doesn't add up.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. I'm gonna cut this short because it's like 11 o'clock now, and I gotta. We'll do a part 2 of this. At some maybe. Well, we'll see. I'm gonna be in San Francisco with the wife this weekend, and so, we will see about scheduling. But yeah, this. Let me get to some of these super chats. Kyle Atkins is a new member. Thank you for that, sir. I appreciate you. Allegra 52 says, so if a large part of her case gets dismissed, what does that say? Oh, I'm quite sure she will want to settle. Can Baldoni refuse settlement and force it to trial based on what's left of the case? Yeah, he can. He doesn't have to settle for anything. He has no obligation to settle. She can't dismiss without Baldoni's agreement to dismiss the case or because of a settlement or otherwise. If Baldoni wants to take this all the way, if the Wayfarer parties want to take this all the way to trial, then they're going to trial. And that's just how it's going to be. And if she doesn't show up because she doesn't want to deal with the embarrassment, then they're going to proceed without her. That's how that's going to go. Leanne, Emma, do y'all have any closing thoughts before we cut this live off?
No, I've really enjoyed it. So it's always good to go back and look at all the details and see what people are saying. I think because in her deposition, I know we'll probably get to it, at a later stage anyway in a part 2. But I think at one point she mentions that she holds Sony responsible for failing to act when she was raising complaints to them. And I think the burning question is, how come she didn't sue them? What if she finds them just as responsible?
Yeah.
How are they not in this lawsuit?
She had exactly. I mean, there's that.
Well, because that's the only reason she's suing Steve Sarowitz, according to her as well, is because he failed to act on her complaints. So it's not making sense to me.
Right. What do you think, Emma?
I think she made the biggest mistake by suing Wayfair because it puts a lot of, in my opinion, pressure on Sony. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if she can sue Sony or Angie, or if she threatened SH claims way before to get her cut. Like there's rumors about that, but
Yeah, there is.
It's, yeah, I have 3 boys, and I couldn't imagine if this happened to any one of them.
Yeah, I got 3 girls, and they're awfully emotional. Those 3, especially the 2 littler ones. It's just it's a different world for boys and for girls. But no, I hear what you're saying. The danger there's a danger for men. Like if they're going to be subject to these false allegations, like how far Blake Lively is allowed to take this is going to be really telling. If this somehow sticks and Baldoni is forced to take this all the way to trial and he somehow is liable for this, that would set a lot of precedents and expand sexual harassment causes of action beyond anything that has ever been contemplated. Certainly in the 2nd District, federally, in California perhaps, and maybe in the country in general. Right now, sexual harassment, like the elements are what they are for a reason. Severe and pervasive to an objective person, and the subjective part has to be there. That's the safeguard we have. If we're saying that this qualifies as that, then I don't know what we're doing. And so for those reasons, I'm doubling down on my prediction. All this SH stuff is going to get dismissed. By the way, Emma has just recently had her YouTube channel monetized. She has the House of Chatter podcast. She has just over 1,000 subscribers now. She just got monetized. So if you haven't checked her out already, she does a lot of stuff with Blake Lively and some other things of interest. Tell us about your channel, Emma.
So I created my channel to comment on just the Blake Lively case and some other things of interest, but I wanted to start my channel with the goal of bringing awareness to DV and trauma. And so I'm hoping with my monetization, I can donate some proceeds to organizations that support equine therapy with children, so that they can recover from, mental health conditions like PTSD and depression and other things that they may experience from side effects of severe trauma like DV.
Yeah, go check out Emma's channel and subscribe to her. She's going to be covering this case a lot more. And then, of course, Leanne, I haven't talked in months, but I know you've been continuing to cover this case, and you've been doing your own thing over there. You want to plug your channel a little bit?
I've been here from the start. I've been through the ringers. Found, made a big discovery, got subpoenaed. So I managed to hit all of the boxes on the bingo card.
All the boxes on the bingo card, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I did. But yeah, no, I'm here till the end. So yeah, things got quite heavy after the subpoena. I was unwell, you were unwell, and you were obviously, quite engaged with the Laura Owens case. So it has been a while, but yeah, I'm hoping we can do a bit more. I was saying the same to Cassidy was saying as well to me earlier, because I haven't done anything with her and Lauren since the Banzan anniversary thing we did.
By the way, both of them tonight, and they were Lauren said she has to be up like at 6 a.m. So like in 4 hours or whatever. And then Cassidy had been streaming. She said she's like exhausted. And so but yeah, we'll get the party.
I need to do something with them too as well. And they both said, we'll put something in the pipeline. So yeah, hopefully we can all get the kind of all of us in together. That's a really nice.
I'm sure in the coming months we're going to be doing a lot of stuff as this case starts to ramp up.
Yeah.
By the way, Allegro 52 with 14 says, so if a large part of her case gets dismissed, I read this one, didn't I? This is the new one. Jupiter James, how you doing, young lady? Hey, Omar and guest, appreciate you all. Special shout out to Bruce on his birthday. Love Sarah Dawn. Happy birthday, Bruce.
Yeah, happy birthday, Bruce.
I wonder how old he is now. He's like 49 or something, 50. I don't know. I met Bruce in person. He's really tall. He's like 6'2" or 6'3" or something.
Wow.
I don't know. He's taller than I thought he would be, and I'm sure I'm shorter than he thought I would be. So there's that. But all right, folks. On that note, I think I'm going to say goodnight to you all. I got to get up early. I'm traveling in the morning. Emma, Leanne, thank you, folks, for joining me on this discussion. I had a lot of fun. I like doing the role play stuff with the depositions. That's always a
Yeah, that's
Thank
fun.
you. Thank you for having me and us. Like, it
Yeah,
was
thank
fun.
you for having us.
yeah. We'll do it. We'll do it more often, especially as things start to heat up. Like I said. But all right, folks, I love you guys. Be safe out there. It's crazy, especially in America. With that, I will see you guys next time. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.